Hi, my name is Paul Hilliard, and I want to thank you for downloading my free year-end tips for small business owners. So every year, around the third quarter, around October, November, you want to start thinking about how to get ready for your year-end. And, so you might not really know what exactly that means. And you might already have a bookkeeper or accountant that does your books monthly. If you do, that's great. So then you should already be in pretty good shape. But what you should still do is you should still look at these tips and go over them with your bookkeeper or accountant and make sure that they have taken care of all these items. If you are doing your books by yourself and you've been doing them monthly, that's great. You can definitely use these tips to make sure everything's how it needs to be for year end. If you haven't done your books at all and you're looking at a pretty big project to get them cleaned up, then I highly recommend hiring somebody, a professional accountant, whether it's a CPA or a CMA like myself or an enrolled agent or anybody that has sufficient accounting experience that can help you clean up your books. So I'm going to go through briefly the tips right now. You should be receiving an email copy of those tips any minute now, so be on the look for that. There'll be a link that'll show you where you can access them. So I'll get started just going through them. So one thing you want to definitely make sure you do, and I recommend doing this throughout the year, is make sure that you have all your W-9s accounted for. So if you don't know what a W-9 is, W-9 is just a form that any vendor that you pay should fill out for you, and it will have either their social security number if it's an individual, or if it's a business, they will have their EIN number on there, and it will have their address. And basically, what it is it's for tax purposes. So then that's how the IRS knows how to send them. Well, you're going to send them a 1099, and your accountant will, but it's how the IRS knows what they received compensation for the year. So you need them in order to use a lot of expenses for tax deductions, and so I recommend anytime you bring on a new contractor, like if you're a construction company, you have subcontractors, you should right off the bat, as part of the onboarding process, when you start working with anybody, you should ask for a W-9. So then at the end of the year, you're not scrambling to collect them all. So make sure that you go through all your W-9s and make sure that you have all of them and they're filled out properly. The other thing you want to do, which is connected to that, is you want to make sure that you have accurate data on all your vendor payments. So you want to make sure that you have complete and accurate vendor payments for all your 1099 contractors. So basically, you want to have a file that you can send to your accountant or your tax preparer along with your W-9, so that they can know exactly what they need to issue for 1099s for everybody that provided services for you. And it's pretty important that you make it be right, because if it is wrong, you will have to spend time and money to issue corrected 1099s to anybody who it was wrong for. So you don't want to do that. You want to get it right the first time. Next, you want to reconcile all your bank and credit card accounts in QuickBooks. So this is also something that may have been done monthly for you. If you had an accountant or bookkeeper, it should be done monthly. If you're doing it yourself and you've been doing it monthly, that's great. So you have an accounting software like QuickBooks that links to your business, your bank account. So you know how it works when the transactions flow in there. So basically, you want to reconcile all those accounts to make sure that all the transactions are there and nothing is missing, because it is possible for QuickBooks to sometimes the connection does miss a transaction or two, and you need to manually add them. So you want to make sure you have everything accounted for. Next, you want to make sure that you reconcile all your other balance sheet accounts. And that's especially important if you utilize debt. So if you have some loans that you have, you want to make sure that your principal amount is going to be on your balance sheet. So every time you make a payment, the portion that reduces the principal will go towards reducing the amount on your balance sheet in the liability account, and the interest expense will show up on your P&L as an interest expense. So the reason why it's important is because you don't want to miss out on any tax deductible interest payments. So what you want to do is just make sure that your loan accounts are match your current balance. You can either look at an amortization schedule, or you can just log in and look at your balance with your lender and see what you currently owe. Make sure it matches. So next, you should take some time to review your accounts receivable. If you are a company that invoices clients for services, you want to make sure that you have all of your outstanding invoices accounted for. And a lot of businesses like to settle their debts before year end. So it'd be a good idea to send them a friendly reminder for any payments that are close to being due or past due, and just kind of let them know and try to collect payment on those before the end of the year. Sort of related to that is you want to reconcile revenue. And what that means is making sure that all of your revenue that you have in your QuickBooks or whatever accounting software that you use is actually revenue. Sometimes it's possible for a payment to come through for like a reimbursement, or if you did a draw on a line of credit or got a loan or something. And it's a lot of people actually record that as revenue when it's not supposed to be revenue, especially if you're doing your books yourself. Maybe you just put it in revenue by accident. You definitely want to look out for that. Also, another thing that I see a lot is if you use QuickBooks to invoice clients and you credit an invoice, and that invoice, the invoice that you sent to the client, they said there was an error with it or an issue with it, and they asked for a new invoice, and you sent them a new invoice, but you forgot to remove the previous invoice, and now you have a duplicate invoice. So you don't want your revenue overstated. So you want to, just look out for things like that. So then after you have accurate books, you just kind of want to look over them and make sure you take some time to reflect. If you did do a budget at the beginning of the year, beginning 2019, definitely take some time to review your actuals versus your budgeted figures to see if you performed how you thought you would. And even if you didn't do a budget, it's still a good idea because you probably had at least a mental picture of where you would be at the end of the year, so you can look back at where you thought you would be and where you are now, and just take it all in. And then after that, just start planning for the future. So once you've moved on from the year, you've got everything needed for your taxes to be filed properly, your 1099s, your books are closed. This would happen, more in January, but then just take some time to plan for your future. So, early January, you can do this even now, just start planning for where you want to be next year. So I highly recommend taking some time to make a budget. And, the good thing about making a budget is it forces you to think about your business in a different way sometimes, because it forces you to get really granular and look at kind of the details in a way that you might not normally look at them. And so it's a good exercise to kind of force yourself to look at things through a different lens. And of course, every month then you'll have the ability to compare actual results versus budget results, and then make adjustments on how to improve performance as the year goes on. And lastly, don't wait to ask for help. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, which there's nothing wrong with that. As a business owner, you have a lot on your plate and you have to wear a lot of different hats. And I know I've worked with a ton of business owners, so I know how challenging and overwhelming anything just is with having a business. So if you feel like your books aren't caught up and you don't already have an accountant or bookkeeper, it's probably a good idea to reach out to one and have them kind of help you it's definitely worth the money to pay them, and the payments are taxable expenses. So you can definitely benefit from that. And if you want to try to do it yourself, you think you have the time to do it, maybe things are slower for you now, it's your slow season, you get some extra hours during your weeks to do it, that's fine too. But again, if you do have any questions while you're doing them, just make sure that you do uh, ask for help, because it is really important and it can't be rushed and it has to be done properly. So that being said, I hope you guys had a great 2020 despite all the crazy things that happened, and I wish you guys all the best in 2021. Thanks.